Okay, hair makeup check. Right, so it is February 27th, and I didn't think I was going to start working on the house again until March, but you know, here I am 2 days early. We spent the most of December, January and February skiing our butts off at La Terraille, and unfortunately Goo hit a tree and broke a rib, so that kind of put an end to her season a little bit early. It was about 2 weeks ago. The west side of the house here has steel cladding on the outside, so I'm ripping that off. I hate the way it looks anyways. It's like corrugated steel. It's super, looks like trailer park. I can't say that. Anyways, I just hate the way the corrugated steel looks cheap to me, so we're gonna get rid of that and do wood, which might be more maintenance, but at least it's, you know, fixable. This isn't really fixable, it just rusts and there's bugs inside and it's gross. So I ripped off the corrugated steel to see what was underneath, and we have tsuchikabe, which are Japanese traditional, like everything is, dirt walls. So they're made of bamboo, rice straw, woven together in a lattice, covered in mud, and they're built in situ between the two posts that make up the wall. And there's also, between the posts that are spaced at 6 Japanese feet, in between them there's also smaller posts. And then there's strapping between that connects the posts together. And Japanese style architecture where there's just posts and beams, as opposed to 2x4 construction where there's many posts, many light posts, is that it really gives you freedom to do whatever you want. Because the posts bear all the load, it should make it easier to open a window, or put in a door, or change the window, or whatever, because we don't need to totally rebuild a bunch of headers and footers and lintels. Yeah, okay, so one thing I forgot to mention was that I am currently standing at the height of the second floor because there's still like 9 feet of snow below me. This is the west side of the house, and snow just piles up and piles up, falls off the roof and piles up even more. I actually had to dig these windows out 3 times this season because the windows were covered, on the second floor, the windows were covered in snow. So I had a flash of genius while I was doing the snow removal here with the Josetsky, the big snowblower. And I was like, well, I can remove the snow until it's exactly at the second floor of the house. And that's a pretty nice work platform while the snow is slowly melting. So instead of moving all the snow out of the way, I just moved it down to the second floor, and I'm going to use that as a scaffolding, a snow scaffolding, I guess. So I'm pretty excited about that, because wasting money on scaffolding is not fun. And underneath, corrugated steel that was basically an air gap, and then the tsuchikabe, or clay wall. So basically I'm just filling that empty space with styrofoam insulation, and then on the outside of that I'm putting a foam backed board, so plywood with styrofoam glued to it, and then screwing that in. You're not supposed to use screws for sheathing. I might switch to nails at some point, but it seems that because I'm going through only 12 millimeters of plywood and then a bunch of foam, there can't be that much shear force on the screws. Yesterday I made about 20 pieces of plywood board with foam glued to the back, and then today we're going to try and put it on. It's a Sunday, and today I have Mr. Pine River, Matsukawa? Mr. Pine River is coming to help, or I guess I'm going to help him remove one of the AC units at the back of the house. And it's over my shoulder here, and this is a really old unit. It's probably from the 80s or something, I don't know. It assumes, I'm not sure how old air conditioning is, but it's probably, as soon as they made air conditioning, this is the first unit they made. So there's one here that seems relatively new, and there's one here that seems like it's from the 70s, so that's the one we're gonna remove. And it's something you can't really do you need to have someone who kind of knows what they're doing to do that. So that's why I'm asking for help from someone. So then once that's off, it should be easier to remove the siding from this this part of the house. There's also another unit here that I need to kind of move out of the way. I think maybe the pulley will make another appearance and we'll lower it down. And that's about it. Yeah, so we're continuing with the exterior wall on the west side. It wasn't super hard to put up plywood back to the foam. One thing that made it easier, Kenji had an idea to put a furring strip across the top. So that way we had a border just to push against instead of having to be really precise. This all would be working more smoothly if I had a better detailed plan of how we're going to finish things. But for right now, I'm just butting it up to the same height as the top beam, and we're continuing with the removing the facade from the north wall on the second floor and higher. I am a big wimp when it comes to heights, so I'm really glad that Kenji's here to man up and go up the ladder and pull nails out of all the sheet metal and all the sheet metal that's covering the house. There's like hundreds of kamemushi. They're like little stink bugs. It's really, really gross. It's a sunny March 10th, 2021, and me and Kenji are ripping off the siding off the top of the house, off the roof, off the second floor. 5mm thin cedar siding, and it's really thin and it has holes in it so bugs can get in. We actually didn't find that much. I thought we'd find some wasp nests behind there. Maybe we will when we start ripping down the first floor cladding.